You know, it's something we all do probably dozens of times a day, without even thinking about it. You grab a file, drag it to the trash, hit delete, and poof, it's gone. It feels so final, so clean. But in the digital world, almost nothing is as simple as it seems.
So that brings us to the big question, right? When you empty that recycle bin, is your data actually gone for good? Well, the answer is way more complicated and honestly, a lot more fascinating than you'd think. Okay, so this really breaks it down. On one side, you've got what we all think happens. The file is just zapped out of existence. But what's really going on is completely different. All your computer does is remove the reference to the file. The actual data? Oh, it's still sitting right there on your drive, just hanging out.
All right, so let's jump right in and bust the biggest myth out there. The one that has to do with that little trash can icon sitting on your desktop.
Yep, you heard that right. Your recycle bin or your trash isn't some magical black hole for data. It's literally just another folder on your computer. The files are just moved there, they're still taking up space, and anyone with access to your machine can restore them with a couple of clicks.
So, to really get what happens when you permanently delete a file, we need to pull back the curtain a little bit and see how your computer organizes everything. And it all comes down to a kind of secret index.
For most systems, this is called the master file table, or MFT. The best way to think about it is like the librarian for your hard drive. See, the little bits of data that make up a photo or a document aren't stored in one neat block. They're scattered all over the place. The MFT is the only thing that knows where all those scattered pieces are and how to put the puzzle back together for you.
And this is the perfect analogy. Imagine your drive is a big book. The MFT is the table of contents at the front. When you delete a file, you're not actually tearing the pages out of the book. Nope, you're just scratching out that chapter's name from the table of contents. The pages, the actual story, it's all still there.
So here's the key. Your computer just puts a little sticky note on that physical space on the drive that says, hey, this spot is available now. It gives itself permission to write something new there, eventually. But until it does, the old file is just lingering. It's invisible to you, sure, but it's there.
This whole situation, the fact that your data doesn't just vanish, creates these digital ghosts. And they have some pretty serious real-world consequences.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? There's a massive difference between a file being easy to find and it being truly gone. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. It's just hiding.
And this is a total double-edged sword. On the one hand, this is amazing. If you accidentally delete years of family photos, specialized software can scan that empty space and bring them back. It's a lifesaver. But the downside? Well, it's pretty scary. If you sell an old laptop, the new owner can use those exact same tools to recover your private emails, your tax documents, everything you thought was gone for good.
Okay, so if the delete button is basically a lie, how do you actually make a file disappear forever? Let's get into the real methods for permanent digital erasure. A pretty common way to do this is called zero filling. Instead of just marking the space as available, a special program will go in and write a 0 over every single bit of the original file. That way, even if someone finds it, all they get is a file full of nothing.
But here's where it starts to sound like a spy movie. On older magnetic hard drives, writing data isn't a perfectly clean process. With some seriously expensive high-tech lab equipment, it's actually possible to detect the faint magnetic ghost of what used to be there and figure out if a bit was a 1 or a 0 before it got overwritten.
So, how do you beat that? How do you defeat forensic scientists in a lab? Well, it has something to do with this number, 35.
This is known as the Gutman method. It's basically the nuclear option for data wiping. Instead of just writing zeros one time, it overwrites the data 35 separate times, each time with a different, complex pattern. The goal is to so thoroughly scramble any magnetic residue that the original data is just completely, utterly unrecoverable. So this basically leaves you with two main paths. You can use software to overwrite your data. The huge pro there is that the drive is still perfectly usable afterwards. The con? Wiping a drive 35 times can take a very long time. Or you can just go for physical destruction. It's about as secure as you can get, but the drive's not going to be very useful after that.
You'd think that would be the end of it, right? Wipe it 35 times or just smash it. Case closed. But believe it or not, we're about to hit the true point of no return.
I know it sounds impossible, but even the Gutman method has a weakness. It turns out there are hiding places on your hard drive that even the most aggressive software just can't get to.
And these hiding places are called bad sectors.
Think of them like tiny permanent potholes on the surface of your drive. Your computer knows they're damaged, so it avoids writing anything new there. But that also means it can't overwrite anything that's already trapped in there. So if a piece of a sensitive file is stuck in that pothole, it's there forever.
Okay, so that means physical destruction is the only answer left, right? Grind that drive into 1,000 tiny pieces. Game over. Except, it's not.
Because, and this is absolutely wild, forensic labs have tools that can analyze the tiny, shredded fragments of a hard drive platter. They can actually piece together the data from those microscopic bits. It's an insane level of data recovery.
So after all that, if the delete key doesn't work, and software wiping isn't perfect, and even an industrial shredder isn't foolproof, what's left? What is the one final way to make absolutely certain your data is gone?
That's it. To truly, utterly, and completely obliterate the data beyond any hope of recovery, the single best option is to burn it. Destroys the physical medium itself. Kind of makes you think twice about what you're really doing when you hit empty trash, doesn't it?